The Thanksgiving table was set with my grandmother's china. At 71, I thought I'd seen every kind of family drama possible. I was wrong. "This turkey is so dry," Vanessa announced loud enough for everyone to hear. My daughter-in-law had this way of turning every family gathering into her personal stage. "Maybe next year we should just cater." I bit my tongue. The turkey was perfectly moist, but arguing with Vanessa only made my son David uncomfortable. He'd already told me he was tired of the drama. Robert's urn sat on the mantelpiece, visible through the dining room doorway. I'd kept it there since his passing 8 months ago, finding comfort in having him close during family gatherings. "Mom still keeps that creepy urn out there," Vanessa whispered to her sister loud enough for me to hear. "It's like living in a funeral home." David shifted uncomfortably. "Vanessa." "What?" "I'm just saying it's weird. Normal people bury their dead." For 3 years I'd tolerated Vanessa's disrespect, making excuses for her behavior, trying to keep peace for David's sake. She saw me as a weak, grieving widow who could be slowly pushed aside. After dinner, Vanessa offered to help clean up, the first time ever. I should have known something was wrong. We worked in silence until I heard a loud crash from the living room. "Oh no." Vanessa's voice rang out, followed by laughter. "Oops." I rushed to find Robert's urn shattered on the floor, his ashes scattered everywhere. Vanessa stood over the mess, her hand covering her mouth in mock horror, but her eyes were bright with satisfaction. "I'm so sorry," she said, not sounding sorry at all. "I was dusting and it slipped." Then she did something that made my blood freeze. She started laughing, genuine amusement. "Oops, Grandpa's gone now," she said, reaching for the broom. The family gathered and joined her laughter. My other daughter-in-law, my sister, even David cracked a smile. "What?" "It was an accident," Vanessa said, sweeping Robert's ashes toward the dustpan like ordinary dirt. "Besides, this gives us a chance to finally redecorate." I watched in stunned silence as she swept my husband of 43 years into a pile. The laughter continued around me, and I realized I'd become the outsider in my own family. "Just throw it in the trash," Vanessa instructed her sister. "It's not like he needs it anymore." That's when something inside me shifted. I quietly knelt and began collecting the larger urn pieces, my mind already working through what would happen next. "Don't worry about that, Margaret," Vanessa said dismissively. "We'll handle it." I smiled up at her. "Of course, dear. Thank you for being so helpful." What Vanessa didn't know was that appearances could be very deceiving. The next morning I sat with my laptop, reviewing documents that would change everything. For months I'd been watching Vanessa's behavior escalate. Last night was simply the final straw. My phone buzzed with a text from David. "Sorry about last night. Vanessa feels terrible." I typed back, "No worries, sweetheart. These things happen." But I was simultaneously pulling up property records showing I'd owned David and Vanessa's house for 2 years. When they'd faced foreclosure during David's unemployment, I'd quietly purchased their mortgage through my investment company, Pinnacle Property Solutions. They had no idea. As far as they knew, they were dealing with a corporate lender. The payments came out automatically just like before. I called my lawyer. "Marcus, I saw your email about last night. Are you ready to move forward?" "I think it's time. I'll have the papers ready this afternoon." I opened another file, financial records showing my investment in Vanessa's spa business. 3 months ago, she desperately sought funding. My business associate had forwarded her proposal to me as a courtesy. Vanessa had no idea that VH Capital, the firm funding her spa, was my company. She'd signed contracts giving me 60% ownership for the $200,000 she'd needed. The spa opened in 2 weeks. Vanessa had quit her salon job, burned bridges, confident her new business would make her wealthy. That afternoon I signed the eviction papers. 30 days to vacate. I also signed Vanessa's termination from her own company. "The restraining order?" Marcus asked. 2 years, I confirmed. After documenting months of emotional abuse, the judge had been sympathetic. The phone call started at 7 a.m. "Mom, there are people at our house with papers." David's voice was panicked. "They're saying we have to move out." In the background, Vanessa screamed, "This is impossible. We own this house." That's terrible, sweetheart, I said, sipping coffee in my garden. Why don't you come over tonight and we'll figure it out? An hour later, Vanessa called, her voice tight with rage. Margaret, did David tell you about the house? Yes, it sounds stressful. I'm sure it's a mix-up. They're saying we're renters, not owners. It's insane. How strange. Who would buy your mortgage? Pause. What do you mean buy our mortgage? When people fall behind, investment companies sometimes purchase the debt. Didn't David tell you about the foreclosure proceedings? Longer pause. What foreclosure proceedings? Oh dear, I shouldn't have said anything. David was so embarrassed when he lost his job. That afternoon, Vanessa called again, her voice smaller. The investment company. Pinnacle Property Solutions. Do you know anything about that? Why would I know about an investment company? And my spa investor called. There's been a change in management, and I need a meeting tomorrow. That sounds important. Margaret, are you involved in this somehow? I let the question hang. Vanessa, dear, I'm just a 71-year-old widow. What could I possibly have to do with investment companies? But my tone said everything. The next evening, David arrived alone, pale and shaking. Mom, I need to tell you some things. I explained the foreclosure, the mysterious investor who deserved their house, Vanessa's spa funding. The lawyer told Vanessa that both companies are owned by the same person. Someone was been helping us for years without us knowing. He took his hand. How do you feel about that? Like an idiot. Like I've been blind to everything. What happened at Vanessa's meeting? She was fired from her own company. Majority ownership. The spa opens next week, but without her. We sat in silence. She destroyed that sausage on purpose, didn't she? What do you think? I think you've been married to someone you don't know. I think you've let her treat you terribly. And I think you've been protecting me from my own mistakes. You're my son. That's what mothers do. But you're done protecting me from consequences. You're 38, David. Time to learn the difference between people who love you and people who use you. His phone rang. Vanessa. I declined it. I told her the truth. That my mother is smarter than both of us, and I'm ashamed of how I've treated you. What did she say? That if I took your side, she'd leave and take half of everything. And you said? Says welcome to half of nothing, since everything apparently belongs to you. Hevlard swept across the windows. Vanessa's car in my driveway. She can't come to the door, he said. Restraining order. We watched her sit in the car, debating. Finally, she rolled down her window and shouted, I know what you did. You can't destroy people's lives because you're bitter. I opened the front door, staying on the threshold. Vanessa, you're violating a court order. I'm not going anywhere until you explain yourself. I called 911. Yes, I need to report a restraining order violation. Her car peeled out before I finished. Is this how it ends? David asked. This is how it begins. You decide what kind of man you want to be. And if I choose to stand with you, then you always have a home here. But you will live with the consequences of ignoring warning signs. 3 weeks later, David moved back into his childhood bedroom. Divorce papers filed. Vanessa moved to another state. The spa thrived under new management, profits going into a trust for future grandchildren. I kept one piece of Robert's urn on my nightstand. Sometimes I'd hold it and tell him about my day, about how David was learning my recipes, how peaceful the house had become. Some people learn respect through kindness. Others only understand strengths. The important thing is knowing which approach each person requires.